Hello everyone, today is Saturday the 11th of August, and with that in mind I thought it's been probably about a month since we last visited the garden and what growth has happened since then. So today I thought I would show you around what developments have happened since the last video. So if you don't know what happened last time or you want to recap, then watch the video wherever it is on screen. Go watch that. That was July's tour of the garden, or sort of June's, because probably by the time I uploaded it, it was July. But anyway, so we're now in August. A lot has happened in the garden. I've got lots of clips to show you of growth and harvest that I have picked throughout the past many weeks. So without further ado, let me share with you what has happened since our last update. So the most recent and most exciting development has been the tomato plants, particularly the Shirley variety. So we have 5 big tomatoes on one stem, and if you remember, I'm pretty sure it was in the last video that we had like 4 I think that had grown, but they have taken since then, I suppose, or even before then, to actually ripen. So I've got my first Shirley tomato picked, and I think I've probably got another one, maybe 2 to pick as well, which is very exciting because the Gardener's Delight and Sun Gold grew and ripened really quickly, obviously being that smaller sort of salad tomato variety. So this was long awaited ripening, so very happy to see that. I think we may still have a few more tomatoes to go. We've got a bit of colour going on in there, obviously you'll see some close-ups, but yes, still a bit of activity, so it's all going well in the grow house. I've also started off some small little carrot seedlings in hopes to get our last little sort of crop of carrots over sort of the end of summer, autumn time. The next thing that I wanted to update you on, which actually really shocked me when I looked at the previous video, is how much growth we've had on the French bean plant. So this has grown so much taller than it had done in the previous video, and we've had crop after crop of beans. Literally every day I could come and pick maybe 4 or 5. They're doing so well. I mean, we've got 3 strong plants. This plant here, which I think might be the tallest one, is kind of like, you know, they're all grown together, but I think that one is starting to sort of come back, but that was a bit of a slow burner. But these 2 at the back here have just been amazing. They're such a good, strong, healthy crop. So I'm really pleased with them. These beans have been really, really successful, and I really enjoyed coming out here and picking, you know, a handful sort of almost every day. It's been really rewarding, and I would definitely grow these year after year just for that sheer enjoyment of being able to actually pick something that you've grown. The other thing I wanted to mention while we were in this particular bed is these 2 lettuce plants. So this variety is Tom Thumb, so they're designed to be a very small, compact little lettuce variety, and as you can see they are very small, and this particular one is about grown to full size, so it's not really going to get much bigger than this, and these are actually really sweet and lovely and perfect for, you know, a sandwich or a salad for one. So we've got 2 really strong ones here. I'm so glad that I planted these in with the beans. This is obviously a really good growing spot for them, so they're really happy in here. And then in the other bed we've also got 9 lettuce that are growing along really nicely, so I think we are yet to have some more lettuce. Speaking of beans, my little dwarf plant has come along really well and has given me also really good crop after crop of bean. It does look like it seems to be dying out, so perhaps dwarf varieties don't last as long. I don't know, it's all a learning curve, but it has been giving me really good crop of these, so I'm very happy with that. And also, if you can see over here, my little flowers that I planted in my bee pot here, which I planted thinking it had flowered and was done with, well, has proved me wrong and has come out in these gorgeous lovely purple flowers. So I'm really pleased I put them in there, and it's added a lovely bit of colour along this side of the garden. Sadly, as I mentioned in the last video, the mint has decided it didn't want to go on, so I've just let it die really. It's not like it's been in a drought or You know, I've not purposely sort of put it to its end, but it's naturally decided it's wanted to die off, so I've let it carry on. I don't know what happened here. I don't know if this is natural. I thought that mint just seemed to live forever and would grow, you know, wild and was quite resilient. So I'm not sure what's happened here. But I'm certainly going to try again because I really loved it when I did have it and when it looked at its best. The other thing that's kind of decided it's finished growing really is the chard, and it has wilted slightly today because it is extra hot, so that is partly the issue, but I think it has sort of run its course, and it's certainly not grown any bigger either, so I think the chard is about done with. Next on the list of successful crop stories is the courgette plants. These have actually really surprised me. They've suddenly had a second wind, and the crop actually starts here. This is where I planted it, and it's grown and spread all the way along here and has given me numerous amounts of courgettes, albeit very small, you know, no bigger than say your index finger, but they have cropped and cropped and they're doing really well and they seem to be really healthy, so that's really amazing. I do have another yellow courgette plant here as well, which tries to grow something. I've not actually harvested any courgettes from this particular plant, but once again adds a bit of colour, bit of variety, and it's been a nice experience to grow it nonetheless. The next thing to talk about is the Brussels. So Brussels sprouts, I finally discovered how you grow Brussels sprouts. So I'm very pleased that I've learnt how to grow them, but sadly these moth, butterfly, caterpillar things keep coming back, and I've now taken a liking to my Brussels sprouts. So whilst they were doing so well and seemingly untouched, the caterpillar, cabbage, moth thing has found it and has taken a liking to it. So that's a bit disappointing. We've also got aphids, yes, but I'm holding out hope that they will survive. The damage seems to be minimal thus far, but they've got a long way to go. I've discovered that they don't come, you know, they're not a quick growing crop, so they're looking good and strong and healthy at the time being, so we'll just keep going with it and hope that we do get some sprouts at the end of it. And finally, the last crop to really discuss with you that is visually growing and is happening right this moment is the Tigerella tomatoes that I planted directly outside. They are looking really good. We've got multiple fruit on different levels throughout each plant, so that's really exciting. I wasn't sure if these were going to make it, but they have proved me wrong and they're looking really healthy and really good. So I'm hoping these will ripen and we'll get a really good crop of tomatoes, funky tomatoes, out here as well. Finally, the last section, we come over here to the potted area. Now, if you remember in the last video, I just built this little wooden trug and I hadn't actually planted anything in it. Well, between now and back then, I had planted and grown radish. I obviously did record clips of my successful harvest of radishes, so I will share them with you. But I found it so fascinating that I was able to plant, grow and harvest like 5 or 6 radish between the time that it has taken me to do a monthly sort of garden tour. So that's been really amazing. Last year I didn't have any success growing radishes. They seemed to be really opposed to the raised bed that I planted them in. But this year they loved this trug and they did really well. I grew them in like a spiral sort of shape, and as I say, I had a really good little crop from them. Sadly, the caterpillars did find them also. So my last like 5, maybe 6 that I had in here, very small ones, didn't succeed. But I think how quick they grow and how good conditions we had, I may put some more out because they were quite fun to grow as well. Small interruption from the tour to mention that I did buy a water butt. I'm very excited this evening because I have just had a humongous delivery, which is my first water tank to go in the garden, and I mean it is huge. I am 5'1", 2", and it's literally as tall as my armpit. So I'm very excited to get this in the garden and get it plumbed into the guttering ahead of what I think is probably going to be quite a downpour this evening. Sadly, it's still not plumbed into the guttering, but that's something we can do obviously at a later date, and it's been far too sunny and dry to have collected any rainwater anyway, so that is yet to happen. And I also forgot to mention that today we popped to an open garden locally and I bought 2 plants. So that is August, well, end of July / early August update in the vegetable garden. I hope you've enjoyed this little update. Hopefully I'm going to make this a bit of a regular occurrence, because since watching my own videos back and seeing how much growth and change can happen in such a short space of time, myself, I enjoy watching this back and recapping, and you learn so much, and you, I think, appreciate a lot more of how giving your garden can be without, you know, so much changes in such short space of time. As we say, I think you kind of just brush over it, but having it fully documented like I'm doing and being able to watch it back from myself, it's been really rewarding. So yes, I'm going to make it a permanent feature, and hopefully we will catch up every month in the garden and we can see how much life it's full of. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next month.